About 7 years ago, I was a new hire at my second hotel. I'd known the system and how to handle some BS situations by this point, so I really wasn't being trained too thoroughly at this property, which I quickly found out was a good thing, because many of their associates were hired less than 3 months before me. Not one member of their front desk or night audit staff had been there a full year yet, and it wasn't because people were getting promoted. So it was my third day on the job, and while I don't remember the rest of that shift, I do remember the last 10 minutes quite vividly. We were incredibly slow, and everyone was standing around bored. We'd already finished everything and were just waiting out the clock. Our trainer looks at me and the other new trainee and says, "We can go home if we wanted." She would wait for night audit to come in by herself since we had no check ins left. The other trainee didn't argue this. She just snatched her purse and practically ran for the time clock, punched out, and ran out the closest door while shouting across the lobby, "Have a good night." I double checked with my trainer to see if she needed anything else. She said she was fine, and I grabbed my backpack and headed for the time clock as well. It's important to note that the time clock for this hotel was in the laundry room on the opposite side of the hotel. You had to cross the entire lobby, bar, and dining area, go down the hall, past the public restrooms, then past the elevators, then housekeeping and laundry on the left. As I'm walking across the dining area, I hear the elevators open and chime. Going up, out walks a man not older than 60, completely naked, censoring himself with one hand and walking down the hall towards me. I know most people would have frozen by this point, probably panicked or screamed because, oh God, bare skin. I just looked at him with wide-eyed confusion and thought, "What drugs did your doctor give you?" I guess he saw my look and became embarrassed because after we made eye contact, he quickly turned the corner into the public restrooms and hid there. I never missed a step through all of the silent eye contact, and when I saw he went into the restrooms, I somewhat became suspicious and thought that maybe he wasn't all there mentally and was looking to scare women in the ladies' room. So I rushed up and peeked around the corner fast enough to see that he, instead, went into the men's room. Immediate thought that I chose to run with was, "Not my problem, I'm too new for this." I walked to the laundry room, checked out, and went to the desk and told my trainer what I witnessed, thinking that she would know what to do and how to handle this. She doesn't. She immediately starts panicking. She starts freaking out and thinks that he's a pervert looking to hurt or scare women. I told her he was in the men's room and he made eye contact with me and ignored me, so my best guess was that he was either not all there mentally or on something. She started asking me what she should do and if we should call our GM. I told her she should start by getting the man a blanket to cover up with and ask him if he's all right. She agreed and ran to do just that while panicking the whole time. I chose to stick around to see what happened. My trainer goes and gets him a blanket, and I took a seat in the dining area, closed at that hour, and started pretending to play on my phone while I eavesdropped to make sure she was handling this all right. She comes to me later and says, "I'm going to get him a key to his room. He said he got locked out. How did you get locked out completely naked?" I jokingly responded, "Angry mistress." We both had a chuckle. She made him a key and confirmed details with him before handing it over. He went to his room, and that's when our night audit person arrived. I left at that point and went home. The next day, I found out my joke was very accurate. I was told that shortly after he went up, she came down. The woman had her bags packed and was in baggy clothes, hair a mess, and makeup ruined by tears. She asked the night audit that if the man in her room comes asking for her, we are to say we didn't see her. The night audit, who had not yet been informed of the previous situation, asked if she was all right and if she was in danger. She told our night audit that the man in her room was her boss. She was his secretary. Same story you hear about. They've been shacking up on business trips. He's bought her everything she ever wanted. He always told her that he would leave his wife for her because she makes him happy, etc. So when she finds out she's pregnant and tells him the joyous news, he's not happy. He tells her he can't leave his wife right away like this because it'll cause a huge scandal in the office and make him look bad. Then tells her she should just terminate it and they can try again when they're together out in the open. Big mistake. She gets upset, starts crying, accuses him of never loving her or wanting to really be with her. He just used her. He tries to calm her down, still pushing for termination and keeping it a secret. So she agrees. She tells him she will and actually does calm down, makes him think she's happy with him and will do anything for him. They start to get passionate, and as she strips him, she walks him to the front door. He doesn't notice until she's pushing him out the door completely naked. He stands there covering himself and beating the door, begging her to let him back in. She ignores him and packs her things. She then heard him take the elevator, so she took the stairs. She could hear my training talking with him at the elevator, and so she waited until he was gone to come out and go to the desk. She then told the night audit that she was on her way to the airport to book the fastest flight home on his dime and plans to tell his wife everything. She even said she plans to get a lawyer and sue him for child support and bleed him dry. The night audit then gave her some good advice. Look into the secretaries that came before you. You may not be the only one, which means his company may know, and she could get something out of them by threatening to expose him. That or he'd lose his job. She was a happy guest and left the hotel in her Uber right as the man came off the elevator and charged for the front desk. He asked the night audit if he'd seen a woman fitting her description, and the night audit said no, he hadn't seen anyone. The man asked about the Uber that just left, and the night audit said it was an associate going home for the night. The man panicked and said that the woman had his phone and wallet. The night audit, concerned that the woman was a con artist and had lied, started asking the man for some more details. The man admitted that she wasn't his wife but was in his room, and then realized he stepped in it. He then couldn't keep his story straight and started changing details. The night audit just played along and promised to keep an eye out. The next morning, the man checked out, furiously screaming in the GM's face about how the associates let a thief leave the property with his items and travel across the country on his time. The GM, knowing the full story, apologized for the situation and offered to call the police, saying they should have been called from the start. There was a naked man running loose on the property. The man stormed off, red-faced after that, and everyone got a laugh. We never heard from him again. I hope the secretary got a nice fat settlement to raise that baby on. Well, I do hope she exposed him to his wife and got the whole affair out in the open, that he lost his job and everything. However, she is the affair partner, and she knew he was married, so she doesn't get off free. She isn't a victim here. She knew what she was doing, and she got pregnant from it. In my opinion, they both suck. Different levels of sucking, but they both suck.